This is a presentation on the demographics of the purchasers of Apple Macintosh computers versus those of Sony Vaio versus those who buy a Toshiba computer, by Lupe Ramirez, Brandon Hogarth, Brian Liu, and Vishal Kothari. This table shows the spreads between Apple's variables. As you can see, the highest ones are education at 159, occupation at 102, household income at 159 also, home value at 176, and race at 106. This chart showing the home value variable shows us that those who own their homes make up most of the buyers in this variable. This segment consists of 14.7 million of the buyers. In the education variable, we see that college grads make up most of the purchasers of Macs. The lowest number of purchasers are the ones who did not graduate high school. College grads make up 9.6 million purchasers, while those who did graduate high school make up a mere 1 million. In the household income variable, we see that those who earn between $75,000 and $149,999 annually make up most of the buyers. They consist of 8.1 million buyers. The lowest segment of buyers consists of those who earn between $20,000 and $29,999 annually. They make up 676,000 buyers only. In the race variable, we see that those in the segments of white and white only make up majority of the buyers by a vast margin. Each make up about 16 million buyers. The occupation variable is the most balanced between the segments. Most people who own a Mac are professionals. They make up 4.8 million of the buyers. Within Toshiba spreads, we see that education at 54, age at 78, household income at 85, home value at 63, and race at 75 make up the top 5 variables. Age is a factor we did not see in the Apple variables. In Sony's variables, we see almost the same variables as Apple's, except county size makes up one of the top 5 variables. This chart compares the usage indices by segments of the highest users of Apple to the same segments of Sony and Toshiba. One common theme amongst them is that Asians are very likely to buy one of these brands, especially Sony. Looking at most purchasers by segment, the top 3 segments are adults between the ages of 18 and 49, homeowners, and Caucasians. The adults make up 67.1% of the buying segment, homeowners make up 73.5% of the segment, and Caucasians make up 80.1% of the segment. Comparing this to a similar chart for Sony and Toshiba, we see that the same segments make up the highest percent of users. From this chart, we see that Apple has heavily penetrated the segments of postgrads, those who earn over $150,000 annually, and home values over $500,000, and Asians. Sony has nearly the same segments, except they have penetrated the segment of college grads more than postgrads. A similar pattern can be seen in Toshiba's market penetration. The top 3 segments for mass marketing are those between the ages of 18 and 49 with 67.1%, county size A, which is the most populous county, at 57.6% users, and Caucasians with 80.1% users. Results in mass marketing for Sony and Toshiba are different from Apple. While all 3 have the same segment of adults and Caucasians, marital status and home value are factors for Sony and Toshiba. Top 3 niche market segments for Sony and Apple are the same, with postgrads, people in management fields, and Asians. Everyone aged between 18 and 24, and women between 18 and 34 make up the highest share of users in Toshiba. Now we look at Apple's marketing channels. The best channels for mass marketing via TV are Bravo with a 15.7% coverage, E with a 20.9% coverage, Food Network with a coverage of 30.2%, HGTV with a 24.7% coverage, and MSNBC News with 21.2% coverage. Their most effective channels for niche marketing via TV are Fox Sports Soccer with 2.2% of the coverage, PBS Kids at 3.8%, the Science Channel with 6% coverage, Travel Channel with 11% coverage, and Versus with 6.4% coverage. The 5 best channels for mass marketing via print for Apple are the Costco Connection with a coverage of 12.3%, Metro Puck Carrier Newspapers with a 28.5% coverage, National Geographic with a coverage of 17.6%, NNN Top 5 Sundays with a coverage of 30.9%, and People Magazine with a coverage of 22.8%. Apple's most effective channels for niche marketing via print would be Architectural Digest at 4.7% coverage, Bon Appetit Magazine at 5.5% coverage, Delta Sky Magazine with a coverage of 4.2%, GQ with a cover of 4.9%, and In Style with a coverage of 7.9%. Finally, we look at Apple's most effective channels of mass and niche marketing via the internet. The top 5 for mass marketing were Gmail with a coverage of 29.7%, iTunes.com with a coverage of 25.1%, Wikipedia with a coverage of 35.8%, Amazon with a coverage of 34.8%, and Facebook with the highest coverage of 4.7%. The most effective channels for niche marketing online are ABC.com with a coverage of 7.4%, IMDb with a coverage of 11%, WebMD with a coverage of 14.8%, CNN with its coverage of 15.9%, and New York Times with a coverage of 12.4%. This concludes the presentation. Thank you.